When David Bowie's video came out for his song Blackstar, almost immediately myself and some others knew there was a tremendous significance within the visual symbology contained within the music video. This short film will not concern itself with the lyrics of Blackstar beyond the title of the song, as this is purely an investigation into the prophetic elements of the entire music video for Blackstar. It was well known that he was involved within the occult during his time living in Los Angeles in the early 1970s, where he conducted Crowley and Golden Dawn type rituals. His interest in magic waned after a particularly bad incident involving the summoning of an elemental which splashed about inside the swimming pool of the house he was renting at the time with his wife Angie. Bowie, on the other hand, is what I would class as an instinctual magician or occultist, in that, like so many people who are in the arts, they have the ability to channel forces and concept, visual writings and images that are outside the possibility of most people. Within the Greek mythological pantheon is the concept of the daemon, which is a genius spirit which whispers into the subconscious mind of artists and other creative people, often presenting them with prophecies of the future. Because the daemon exists outside the space-time paradigm of which the human cognition is trapped within, the daemon can, through dreams, through divination, but most effectively of all, communicate its muse-like qualities to artistic individuals in heightened states of consciousness or extreme focus. At the time of the recording of the Blackstar album, David Bowie knew he was dying of cancer, and while this may not have been known to the makers of the video, the imagery within the Blackstar video was also channeled in some sense by being in the presence of Bowie performing as something of an oracle. And the result is a music video made 4 years ago, which presents us with a vision of what's happening with the world now in regards to the coronavirus, the pandemic, the lockdowns, how it has affected humanity, and how it will end. This is what the Blackstar video is. It is a work of prophecy, channeled by Bowie and his team's muse into the Blackstar music video, which tells us of the future. Aleister Crowley believed that the Aeon of Horus would last for 1,000 years, but this was interrupted by two major events. One was the creation of the internet and the transference of human consciousness into the digital realm. And the second one was the rejuvenation and popularity of paganism again within Western consciousness. As the Aeon of Horus was designed to create an era of self-realization and spiritual infusion within people's everyday lives, particularly in regard to things like arts, through the process of thelema, which means will, and agape, which means love. As the Aeon of Horus represented the birth of a new child in defiance of Christianity, Christianity had basically stopped being a force within Western society with the emergence of the internet and in particular the revival of European paganism. And what the Blackstar video can be seen as is that it is a kind of Gnostic mass, a closing rite in the Aeon of Horus as we move into the flux of the events surrounding the coronavirus pandemic, which has put humanity on hold, waiting for the resurrection. All these events are encapsulated within the Blackstar video. The video beginning with the imagery of Major Tom, Bowie's Space Oddity avatar, and a very important image of the corona surrounding the black sun with the black five-pointed star next to it. At the time, people assumed that this was an eclipse, which it possibly is, but is it a lunar eclipse? We don't know. The predominant thing is the corona around it. A young woman approaches the dead body of Major Tom, and we first see Bowie with his face masked inside a room with people trembling. The room represents the lockdown, and the trembling people are terrified because of the constant, endless negativity and doom within the mainstream media. Bowie is representing an inverse Loki character in that he's tricking them all into terror, as the mainstream media had done ever since the Wuhan early pandemic videos were shown. The young woman who approaches the body of Major Tom pulls up the visor on the spacesuit to reveal the skull is gilded, very similar to how H.P. Lovecraft referred to the tiara in his short story, The Shadow over Innsmouth. She gets hold of the gilded gull, which itself is gilded death, representing the coronavirus. Inside a box, as the vaccine to be brought to the trembling and terrified individuals locked down in the city. As vaccines are made from the virus themselves, this is essentially death from coronavirus being brought to the terrified and the profane in order to heal them with the essence of death in the form of a vaccine. The candle shown in the video is very interesting in that the top of it is burning in a small area, but in fact is a huge candle. The candle represents the spirit or the soul, the internal light. At the moment we can only see it burning in a small area at the top, but it is a vast amount of wax beneath it that bulges outwards. As Major Tom's body moves towards the sun and the corona, a ritual mass begins involving women who are sanctifying or blessing the vaccine in the form of Major Tom's gilded death skull in order to be brought to the trembling masses, still locked indoors, still terrified. The only light penetrating the building that they are in are the media. As the tone of the song changes to a more melodic piece, Bowie appears in the form of a preacher holding up a sacred book with the Blackstar on it, and he's following the sun. If you look at the three people who were previously terrified in the room with him, they're not following Bowie moving the book from left to right and then from right to left again. They're following whatever he is venerating with that text. Again, it's the corona. The masses had learned how to worship the coronavirus as a living god, as the loving and punishing god in the Western consciousness that had to be prayed to, be in fear of, lest we suffer its wrath. The room in which the Bowie and the three people are locked up in, terrified, is also similar to a temple, with light streaming through the windows like the stained glass in a church. The temple of fear, a temple of the god Corona. But herein lies the salvation. Behind him remains a white circle, and hope is generated within the video through the light of Lucifer. Lucifer representing the black star inverted. When the black star is inverted and the light of Lucifer becomes apparent, then people are freed from the terror and the wrath of the Corona god. And this is why the scene of the three individuals crucified and masked, these are the individuals who have become accustomed and in many cases fallen in love with life under the lockdown, life under the coronavirus. Because for the first time in their existence, these people know exactly what they have to do. Every rule in life is there for them to follow. And them tied to a crucifix, bound and masked, socially distanced, the ones who would not want to escape the coronavirus, the lockdown, and the effects it had placed upon humanity during 2020 and 2021. They're grinding themselves sexually as they're turned on by the mask, they're turned on by the fetish of the lockdown, the need to be restrained. They're in a combination of sexual and religious rapture. As long as they're tied down to the fear-mongering and the terror of the coronavirus, then an all-female mass begins, where the vaccine is then transmuted into the body of a woman who holds her arms out as if she's being injected with the vaccine, which she will then distribute to others in order to create herd immunity. This also reminds us of the TikTok dancing videos of the nurses who are supposedly under incredible stress in hospitals. There is nothing like the experience that the human race has had under the corona pandemic. It has fundamentally altered humanity as a species, dividing us in two. The ones who see through it are aware of an almost Lovecraftian cosmic horror show that is happening around us. This is what this almost aquatic creature dancing as it is cut into various parts of the ritual where the skull of Gilded Death, the vaccine, is distributed among the mass-goers. Meanwhile, those who choose to be on the cross, who want to remain within the fetishes of the lockdown, the masks, the social distancing and so on, continue to scream and gyrate upon their crucifixes. And the video finally ends with a pan of the city resolved and a black star with a flash of light behind it, as the light of Lucifer, enlightenment and lack of fear, lights up the world of people who see through this entire fiasco for what it is. The video, Blackstar by David Bowie, is a remarkable work of prophecy brought into manifestation by the extreme charge of a great artist who knew he was soon to die.